I think there are some 35 to 40,000 people still residing in nursing homes statewide.
Yeah, it's around that, 35,000 maybe on Mass Health. Most people in these institutions are on Mass Health.
Right.
I think.
And there's probably...
It's falling. The number is falling.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is a good thing. And a part of that, a good deal of that, is due to the programs that we've been talking about today in terms of providing more options for folks to remain in the community. Clearly, the number of people who will need services, as you mentioned, Sally, the baby boomers, people like me, and Al, who's a younger guy.
Right.
Hopefully we're going to live well, and I think most of us are going to live longer. It seems to be the case, and hopefully we're going to live a healthier lifestyle.
Sure.
And hopefully fewer of us will need services earlier. Now, having said all that, there are going to be folks in our generation who are going to need services, no question about that. So I think the challenge is to try to make the programs accessible to folks like me and Al and our families and your families in a way that makes sense, that promote independence, promote a partnership. Personally, I think we all have a responsibility to help ourselves. That's part of being independent.
Absolutely.
Our families are going to participate in that. I see no evidence to suggest that won't be the case.
Sure.
Sometimes I hear people say, well, if we provide these kind of services, the families will walk away. I've been in the business for over 30 years. The more programs we provide, the more help we provide, I see a strengthening of families. I don't see families walking away. In fact, what we provide, I think, helps families stay involved longer and better. So that's what we have to promote, is a partnership between the recipients, the families, friends, and the formal caregiving system. And I think that's the only way it could possibly work. We have people we're going to need, they've talked about the workforce shortage.
Sure.
So these kind of programs that Al mentioned a few minutes ago, where daughters, and we both say this respectfully, sons as well, could be doing it as caregivers. This is where families are going to have to remain involved. There simply will not be enough caregivers in the system to take care of us.
Sure.
So we need to be flexible and understand how can we balance work, family, and caregiving, whether you're caregiving for your mother and or your children.
Sure.
And these are the kind of things that we're working and struggling with now in order so that when in 10, 20, 30 years, we'll be prepared for it. It won't come as a surprise. Sure. The other piece of it is, and I'll throw it back to you and Al, is in-home care. One of the things our agencies are constantly thinking about and working on is you can't provide home care unless people have a decent quality place to live. So we also need to think about appropriate housing options for people. And that's a major initiative because we have this enormous amount of housing where we're trying to help people stay at home, but then how do we make that in such a way so that you can get services, and in the future, if the current place you're living is not the place you want to be or appropriate, how do you move to another place that you want to live in that's not necessarily a nursing home? So we need to think about all of these aspects of caregiving.
Actually, the work that we do today and bills that we pass today are going to benefit people who become seniors for generations to come.
Right.
And
we have a self-interest in it.
Right. And it's the same. I have children, and my children are the baby boomers as you are.
Right.
And they're in the same age bracket. And I think that we're making it easier for them by doing the work that we're doing today. And one thing that I've always marveled at is so many young people feel that senior issues are not their interest, but actually senior issues should be their interest because they're going to have senior issues to be concerned about, whether it's a family member, an elderly parent, an elderly aunt or uncle, or their own siblings. They're all going to get there someday.
We hope.
And yes, you hope. And they have to know what's out there for them and the benefits of looking into these various programs that are going to help them.
Or even a disabled relative, someone who maybe has multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's. We're dealing now with people. We're trying to look at people based on what their need is, not their age. And so we're really trying to forge new alliances with groups that are working with individuals who are disabled to try to make sure that we have this commitment to choice, to keep people in the community. We don't really care how old they are.
No.
And so every family has a long-term care story. You can stop,
Yes.
for example, when I'm on Beacon Hill lobbying, I can stop any legislator and start talking about home care, and within a minute or two of the conversation, they're telling me about their sister or their aunt or their uncle who was kept out of a nursing home or who went into a nursing home. I mean, this is a common human condition. We all are dealing with this.
Right.
So why don't we deal with it intelligently, because we can keep 2 people at home for the price of 1 in a nursing home. So why don't we make our money work smarter? I mean, we've got lawmakers telling us every year how tight money is, and yet we continue to wastefully spend our money in inappropriate settings that elders don't even want, when we could be keeping them at home. So it's not only just good policy, it's good finances as well.
And I really truly believe our legislators can relate to elder issues.
Absolutely.
They've had it in their own families day after day.
Right.
You sure
They may not
have.
want to admit it, but they have the same problems other people have.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
that's one reason I think that the Silver legislators had a great deal of support from
Mm-hmm.
our legislators, because they can relate to the needs of the elderly and disabled.
Right.
And I've found that they've been most supportive in that area. So we
Oh, the
hope.
Silverhead Legislature, which you're a leader in, the President of the Senate, has been extraordinarily helpful. And
Thank you.
well, absolutely, credit where credit is due, because I think you speak and your colleagues and members are talking from real world experience and from the heart.
Right.
You're telling them really the way it is back in the district.
Sure.
And I think that's why it's been so effective.
Sure.
And every time I've asked Sally Hoyt to go and lobby, you've done it. I mean, you deserve a lot of credit, because there's nobody in that building who's going to challenge you on elderly issues, because you've got the experience
And I'm one
and the
myself.
information, and you're a senior and you
living
can
legend.
tell
Oh,
I
you're giving
guess.
away a secret now.
No, I never give away my age.
60. Well, maybe.
No. Anyway, I think the secret is to be happy and to keep busy and to do the things you enjoy doing. I think that really gives you the feeling that you've accomplished something, because you're able to get out there and do those things just like any young person. So I remember serving on the Board of Selectmen that one of my colleagues said to me, "Sally, where do you get that energy?" And I always say to them, I don't know, I think it's inherited, because everyone in my family is energetic. And,
Yeah, it's genetic.
And it
It's in your
is.
genes.
I think it is a gene, because every member of my family is like me, or I'm like them, but we're all, busy people, and we enjoy doing the things that we do.
I think everybody has it. Everybody has that gene in them.
Yes.
Some people do a better job at bringing
Right.
it out.
It has to be
And
developed.
It has to be developed.
And we have to find
and
an
we need
interest.
more Sally Hoyts. We need
Oh,
more
thank you.
advocates. We really do.
Thank you. And I have a question now for Al. We've asked the Governor Patrick to take his money that's that is there for the elderly and for nursing homes and for home care, and we've asked him to divide it 50-50, 50% into nursing homes and 50% into the home care. Now, do other states do that, or how can we be sure that we can get our 50% for each?
Well, actually, in this regard, other states are way ahead of us. One of the best places that I recommend to people, if they're growing old and they want a state that really gets it, they should go to Oregon, which spends basically about 66% of its long-term care money on care at home, and only 33% in the nursing home. So that's the reverse of us.
Well, of course.
Yeah, so they're way ahead of us, and they've been doing this since the early 1980s. And these are states, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, other states, have been very forward-looking and thinking about what you were raising earlier about the baby boomers and where we're going. Because if Massachusetts doesn't start to get it right soon, all of a sudden lawmakers are going to be on Beacon Hill saying, we're overwhelmed with all these people who are now getting into the 70s and 80s. We didn't plan for them. We used to warehouse people in nursing homes, and that was proved to be very costly and undesirable. So now what do? Well, this is exactly the time now in 2007 when we should be answering those questions affirmatively, keep people at home. Because as we said earlier, other states have already done it, and it's going to bankrupt us if we don't get it right. So that's why I can tell people Massachusetts has been a leader in the home care field, but today if you ask